Hey, everybody, I'm back. And as I announced on the audio version, I'm back from a battle of sickness that I will say now for our YouTube videos, YouTube viewers. But before we get into all of that, we are back here, excited for another edition of the Tweet Cap. Ryan Page is with us. What's up, Ryan?
Not much, Matt. How are you?
Oh, I'm really great to see you now. So I was out last week.
Yeah.
There's time I will acknowledge I had COVID, which is
Mm.
clearly sees it's real. It's knocked me out for a week, though obviously it may, thanks to our vaccines and for our non-vaccine people, you stay safe as well. But I had a very long week dealing with that. That's why I was out for a week. But we're back. Thank you to Zyrtec. Um, your over-the-counter drug helped me a lot this past week, but I'm feeling all right. I'm pretty much 90% there, but I'm back making content, which is the ultimate medicine, right?
That's right. Breezy at 90%. That's some people's 110, right? So,
Thanks, buddy. But yeah, we're back ready to rock and roll, and let us start our second half of the summer with another tweet cap. So, Ryan, here's the thing, and this is a good transition to our first story. The show was called The Tweet Cap, named after Twitter. Yet this past weekend, Elon Musk officially announced that he is rebranding Twitter to X. He took away the iconic bird logo on Monday and he put an X, marking the latest major shift since he took over the social media platform. The website twitter.com is live and it's branding right now. Let us check it again. Twitter.com is still there. X.com,
yep.
single X. Oh, no. I put it and an X comes up. So I don't know. Regardless, Twitter is allegedly changing to X. Why? I'll start with that. Why, Ryan? Why does Elon Musk, who took over an iconic brand in this world, where the brand itself is a noun, when your company is a noun, I tweet this, I tweet that, you really made something out of yourself. And Elon Musk thinks it's necessary to change it to X. Not even anything clever like that. So my first question in this story, and by the way, we are keeping the tweet cap no matter what. X
I
cap.
know. I agree. No X cap. No X cap.
Yeah, X
I
cap does. There's not
honestly,
a
that
good ring
means
to it.
we own Tweet. I'm fine with that. If he wants to give us Tweet, I'll take Tweet. We're keeping Tweet. In terms of the why, well, he's wanted to do this forever. There was this is apparently common knowledge. I don't even know if people know this, but I believe PayPal or Paychecks, one of the two,
Microsoft.
is Elon's. Like he
Oh,
was part of
sorry.
that. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something else. Excuse me.
Oh no, but
PayPal is Elon's. Yes.
yeah, and he wanted to change that to X.com, and back then he wasn't Elon Musk, so they just kicked him out. Uh, which is really funny. Twitter is not going to be able to do that for anyone who's hoping that by this change he's precipitating his own demise. He's not. He's in charge. The people who are around him are going to support this, whether it's a good idea or not, and it's not.
Twitter
Um,
CEO wrote a message.
well,
X is the future state of unlimited interactivity centered in audio, video, messaging, payments, banking, creating a global marketplace for ideas, goods, services, and opportunities. Powered by AI, X will conduct us all in ways we're just beginning to imagine. That is CEO Linda Yaccarino.
yeah, so I was actually going to talk about that because issue number one, the kind of funny one, is that Elon Musk bought Twitter and has decided to change the name, even though that is objectively a bad idea. All right, so we'll put that aside for a second.
Mm-hmm.
That response is quite literally gobbledygook. That sounded like, I mean, honestly, that sounded like an episode of Succession when the kids were talking about, like, when they would go on stage and they would just yada yada swear about some sort of business deal that ultimately ends up working because if you have enough money you can fake your way to anything. That doesn't make any sense. None of that was words, or I mean they were all words, but none of that was words put together in a sentence that means anything. Like, so Twitter is not just Twitter anymore. Now Twitter is going to be a bank and it's going to be powered by AI. to take us places we can't imagine. Like it makes absolutely no sense. This idea that Musk wants to create this like every app, essentially a single app that's everything, is I mean, in my opinion, it's something that a child would dream up, like an everything machine. Like imagine you had a machine where you could have just cheeseburgers all the time and it made your favorite video games, and like that's what it sounds like. It sounds like
Right.
the adult version of that. Like I want a machine that does everything I love right away, which you're supposed to learn is impossible. Now, when you're a billionaire, most things end up becoming possible.
Most.
Most things. So I could see why maybe he's like, you know what, maybe I can have my everything machine and it'll make me my ice cream and give me my video games like I've always wanted. And if anyone has enough money to do it, it's probably Elon Musk. But I really don't think it's possible. I think the reason it's not done is not because somebody's hasn't been rich enough yet. It's because one thing that's going to do everything. One thing that's going to be your bank, your social media, your like network. Like there, I just don't see how that's going to work. It's too complicated. It's too convoluted, and this is putting the cart way before the horse. You're changing the name of one of your actual brands, a
Yeah.
brand that people like, be part of this X brand that does not exist and may never exist, at least not in its entirety. I think if you want to do this, you start working on it now, but just leave Twitter alone. If you actually get to the point where you can host all of these different services under one app effectively and market that in a way that will make your company money, if he can really change the way we interact with one another and own basically, I mean, that would be, by the way, that would be him owning like human interaction. Like everything that human beings do would be owned by Elon Musk, which is terrifying, by the way. And not just because it's Elon. I know we've done a few shows about Elon here on the Tweet Cap, and I'm not usually very nice to Mr. Musk. But I'm not.
Mhm.
This is not even an Elon specific problem. Just one person being in charge of everything everybody does. Like it's already kind of scary that it's only like six people in charge of everything everybody does. If we cut it down to just one guy or girl, that like that's crazy to me. But it's also never going to happen. And I just feel like this is like a weird move to start, like to prepare for something that may never happen. Like I feel like he skipped like 8 steps and just named it X for no reason. And so
Yeah.
it
Did you
just doesn't
also
make
see that
sense.
apparently you can find on specialfonts.com the
That
logo
X,
was created
yeah,
that allegedly. Like
30
person
bucks.
personally, I'll have my crazy take on this one that I really think he's doing this as a joke because he can do such a thing and he seems to have the type of ego to get people to actually fall for this kind of joke. Now, I know if you type in X, Twitter becomes that, but I don't think there's the domain x.com
But
is the
Twitter's
thing.
account though is X now. Like the Twitter's Twitter account now
Yeah.
just says X.
Okay.
And I don't know, like it's yes, I would agree. Elon would be the kind of guy to pretend to change the name of his company. It seems that seems to be that seems to be the particular kind of madness that Elon Musk enjoys. But the actual CEO also tweeted about X, and
True. Do
she
you
doesn't
think
strike me
though?
as somebody who would just do a joke for fun. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like if she's getting involved, it's because it's real.
My
At
only
least
thing, yeah, logic shows that that's the case, but in this world where we see all these personalities do the oddest things and who have all this money, I'm just saying anything's possible in this. And
I don't
all
know
the
if
right,
Linda, you're a whatever. I don't
I
know.
mean, like
Linda,
he's,
whoever doesn't have a
yeah, we'll
personality
say
like
Linda
that. I
Y.
don't think.
And
Linda why?
like the fact that you I just can't believe how easy it was and how synonymous with everyday life Twitter really is, even for people who aren't a part of it. And the idea that I'm gonna X this all for the dirty minds that have something to say there. There's another thing to add to that. I just it's weird.
Hey, you
And
want to you want to connect with your friends? X gonna give it to you. This is a big day for the DMX estate. because X Gon Give It To You is going to have to be the
Yeah.
new commercial theme for Twitter. By the way, Linda Yacarino on Twitter has the blue check mark and now has a black X next to her name. I don't know.
Maybe there is something to this.
This feels like way too much buy-in from a, by all accounts, very serious, C-level executive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Musk is a joker, so I believe that if it was just him. But the fact that she's in on this too, I don't know. I think it's hard to assume this is a joke.
I think the cultural zeitgeist is just going to keep saying Twitter. It's easier.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I mentioned, all our social media. I say Twitter every single time. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to go to our Twitter at Prod Convo Pod, if you want to go to X at Prod Convo Pod, when we did our Threads story a couple weeks ago, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't seem that Threads has been picking up as much steam as we thought at this moment. But yeah, you're driving these social media managers crazy, and nobody
I
asked for
think
this, but it's just
this is big
literally
for
making
Threads.
things harder.
I feel that this could be big for Threads because yes, Threads is slowed down. I use Threads like about half as much as I use Twitter. Threads could use this because this is just another example for those people who are tired of the silliness of Twitter. Like Threads can basically, if they can start adding some of these other little features in, I don't know. If Threads is early, we're grading Threads as if it should be Twitter already, when it shouldn't be. I mean, it's brand new. It barely even functions, to be completely honest with you. Um, and that could be a problem in a market that has such a highly polished, top product. But that top product just keeps making absolutely insane decisions for their marketing and for their, I mean, marketing really, the product functions the same for the most part. And I think this could be a big moment for Threads. I think that you could see another little baby bump the way that, Threads got 100 million fast, more than any social media platform ever in its first week. And I think you could see another little baby bump go in terms of people giving Threads a shot, because just the more ridiculous Twitter gets, the more ridiculous Elon gets, the more people want to get out of there.
Excuse me. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. It just seems just another weird chapter in this book of the Elon Musk Twitter era. And when people literally said Elon is here to destroy Twitter, I did not take those comments seriously, but he really is taking its identity, and it seems he really is trying to ruin it. And I don't know what direction he's going, but it's a direction I'm not exactly for.
Nah, yeah, I don't know what he's doing either, but it certainly gets people talking, which I think is the only thing he wants, is people talking about him. So he's got that, if nothing else.
Clearly, in a summer filled with union strikes and extreme heat and news a little slow at this moment. We'll see once when the fall picks up and everyone's back to work, people are back at school and all of that, how much
Mm.
the X influences will have on the internet. So, in other news, let's get to our gossiping part, which people I know love
Mm.
to hear our gossip expertise in this. So it comes out that there
Absolutely.
was a pop star named Ariana Grande that she recently separated with her fiance. And
Husband, I
then
thought.
just sorry, husband, you're right. Um and Ariana Grande breaks up with her husband. And just days later, it comes out that Ariana Grande is dating a man known as Ethan Slater. And who is Ethan Slater, you ask? He is big on Broadway. He literally played SpongeBob on Broadway. So some notoriety there.
Yeah.
Ethan and Ariana Grande were both filming the film adaptation of the musical Wicked. How about that? And then they started dating. Now, here's the problem. Ethan Slater was happily married for 4 years. He had a child with a woman named Lily J. And it seems that Lily J is absolutely devastated by the news that Ethan Slater and her broke up and immediately went to Ariana Grande. So I will say here, did Ariana Grande steal Ethan Slater from Lily James? Because it seems that they were in such a happy marriage and everything was working out and they just had a child. And then you're telling me that one of the biggest pop stars in the world is interested in this man, and this man drops his family for her? Come on, man. Ethan, my dude.
So
I'm sure you're a great guy. I've heard your cast album. You are one talented person. And if Ariana Grande, who is a gorgeous, talented person, and even if she has quite the dating history, and in that dating history, there are a lot of alleged homewrecker situations, it just seems that Ethan Slater, if I hope you are confident you are going to fall in love with this woman, if you are going to essentially leave your family for her.
I mean, here's the thing. I think we need to probably make sure that we put a healthy amount of blame on SpongeBob here. Ethan Slater. I really don't. I mean, I get in these situations, especially given some of the past history. The home record tab is an easy one to hit, right? It's easy note to play on this particular ballad because we've seen it a couple times when it comes to Ariana Grande, I believe. But ultimately, he was the one who was married for 5 years. He's the one who'd started a family and then
Yes.
decided to move on. So I think that we have to be intentional about pointing that out. That the only person who wrecked the Slater home was Ethan Slater.
Mm-hmm.
You never, here's the thing, guys, you never have to date Ariana Grande. It's not required. It's never required. You can just say no. Like you do to drugs, you can just say no to Ariana Grande. Now, I think that there's some folks would say no, you can't, and frankly, that's the problem with a certain subsect of masculine culture. But we're not going to get into that because comments don't like it when I do that. So what I will say is,
Another day
in
we
terms
will.
of another day, exactly. What I will say though is, yeah, obviously very sad that a family is breaking up. We don't know the family situation. Like I said, we're sitting here from 1,000 feet away, right? I mean, let's just be frank. We didn't know the name of the dude who played SpongeBob until 2 days ago, right?
No.
We can both admit that Ethan Slater is a name we both learned like 2 days ago. Like I'd seen him in like the Macy's parade, right? I saw him play SpongeBob in like on TV, but that's it. Like I didn't know who that guy's name. Apparently he won an award or got nominated for a Tony or something. Like so, like what again? Very famous as you
Yeah,
pointed
he
out, but
received a Tony nomination to play
yeah. So
SpongeBob
yeah, but like,
SquarePants.
well, that's okay. Someone had to do it. I'm not gonna shame him on the part that he got cast and that
Oh
made him,
no, it's an
a
iconic
household
character.
name. Exactly. But so obviously everyone knew this person by like profession, but not by name. Now we all know. Now we all know his name because he's dating Ariana Grande, and that's what happens for the most part. But we don't know that the 5 years were happy, which doesn't make it any better or worse, right? Doesn't. I mean, they have a family together. That family is now broken to some extent, and maybe it'll work out fine, and they'll co-parent great. Maybe Ariana Grande will be part of the co-parenting. Who really knows? But
Mm-hmm.
to say, I don't know if we should go and be like, oh, they ruined a happy marriage to get some Ariana Grande. We don't know if that's what happened. We shouldn't pretend that we do know. But I will say, Ariana Grande did just file for divorce with her husband,
Yeah.
though they have been separated for a little bit, and they've also only been together like a year. So it seems that
Ariana, take a break.
yeah, that
You
part is the
think?
part to me that is the most interesting. Not that 5 years is a long time. It's not, but at
Mm-hmm.
least at least there was a few years of marriage. They had a family together. I think we could all say they gave it a try, right?
Yeah.
But apparently Ariana Grande has been separated from her husband for like 8 months, and they've only been together for like 14 months. Like that sounds like she didn't really want to marry him, and it makes me wonder why she did. But weren't they like they got together during COVID, right? I believe.
Ariana and Ethan Slater.
No, Dalton
Oh, you're
and
talking
what's
about
his name?
her relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is the longest dating thing I've ever seen on Wikipedia. Listen, so yes, it seems that they did fall for each other in during COVID. He's a real estate
Hmm.
agent, and it seems that they just met in they started dating in January 2020, and then they got engaged at December of 2020. 11 months of dating. Wasn't the same thing with Pete Davidson here? Grande began dating Pete Davidson, and they became engaged the next month.
Well, yeah, that's
Uh,
right.
I see
But
a
this
pattern
one's
here.
well, this one. So I guess the difference here is 11 months versus one, which is a big difference. There's a big difference between 11 months and 1 month. But they lived together during COVID, I believe. If my internet gossip knowledge is as good as I think it is, and I think there's probably a lot of couples like that. They were
Mhm.
together, maybe right before COVID. Then COVID happens, and you have to make a decision. Do you never see your significant other, or do you just move in with your significant other? There's really only those are the two options because the COVID with lockdowns. Like you either were together all the time, or you never saw each other and you had separate bubbles. And that I think gave everyone like a fake sense of like because they were home all the time. I'm sure like it's
They'll
just
do
different
the I've
now.
spent every second with them as much as this type of couple or
Right,
whatever.
never living life together, actual life together, not COVID life. I mean, all right, as someone who has done both, I mean, I'm married now, but I lived with my girlfriend before COVID for years, not just a little bit, like for years
Hmm.
before COVID. And then I obviously, we lived together during COVID because we ended up getting engaged, getting married after COVID. Um, it is different. And if you've never lived with a person in real life, like you have to go to work in the morning and they have to go to work in the morning and like you've got bills and you've got this and you've got obligations. If you've never done that, it could shock you.
Hmm.
And so I would say, I mean, listen, do I think that she's gonna end up okay. Do I think she's gonna end up marrying this Ethan guy? Actually, probably, because that does seem to be her move, right? Um, but do I think she's looking to be with this Ethan guy forever? No. Again, because that's her move. But I will say that maybe, just maybe, having a guy who's been married for 5 years will break some of this pattern, right? Who knows? Maybe this is what is needed is someone who has been there, who's put in the work, who knows what it's like to wake up every morning, have to go to work, have to raise the kids. Maybe this is what everybody needs. But I think ultimately, if I was betting, this ends in what's it called? Like January 2024, we find out that she's dating Tom Brady and
Oh man,
and
we have
Ethan
some
is
words on
left.
that.
I know that's why it's a segue there, Matt. But she's dating Tom Brady, and Ethan is left on his own under the sea in his little pineapple.
There's these two stereotypes that have been brought from this story. One, it seems Ethan Slater is the example of a straight guy who was in musical theater all along, around
They happen, yeah.
people who usually aren't straight, and there's girls to choose from if they're so interested in people. Basically, I'm saying there's a stereotype: the one straight guy in musical theater will have all these options, and it seemed to have worked out on the set of Wicked, which is in two parts, by the way. I thought
Huh,
that's an interesting choice.
that
I've
is
actually never
interesting because they're
seen
not.
Wicked, believe it or
Oh,
not.
it's good. I saw it.
Um I've never even like watched the cast album, but I guess it's is it worth two movies?
Well, I don't. That'd be interesting. How they're going to do two movies because it didn't feel like it needed to be two movies. I've seen it,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt like
It was
felt
fine
like
in one
one,
movie.
yeah, one complete story. It felt fine as is. I guess they do have sort of like the first half of the musical is like completely separate from the Wizard of Oz. Like there's really almost no connection. The
Mm-hmm.
second half is like really it takes place during the Wizard of Oz essentially, and so it
Maybe
does
that's what
kind of
it
have a little bit more. So I could see where they would split it, but I don't know if they needed to. We'll see.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, there's that. And it sees that he went on top. So for those who want to meet girls at a musical theater, it's possible. And you might even get somebody
Well,
who you
yeah.
might have not expect.
I think we should put a quick disclaimer here. If you are a guy who's in musical theater, I did musical theater for a long time. If you are a guy in musical theater, you're probably not going to meet Ariana Grande. So I think that should be stated. if you're going to join musical theater to meet Ariana Grande, that's a low percentage shot right there.
And two, with what's funny about SpongeBob, there was reports that SpongeBob in real life, Tom Kenny, he's married to the girl who plays Pearl. Fun fact, the voice actor
Oh,
for Pearl. And then people were
interesting.
yelling at him on Twitter, "Why would you do this?" And then they yelled at Pearl, and Pearl had to come out and say, "Wrong
Not him.
SpongeBob." Mhm.
Could you imagine Tom Kenny starts dating Ariana Grande?
Anything's possible now with this world.
That would be insane. That's like the opposite of De Niro having all these kids at like 70.
There
Or
really
not the
is a
opposite, it's the same.
whole secret society of rich, famous people
That's crazy.
who are
That's really
doing
funny.
these
I didn't see
things.
that. That's
Yeah.
really funny.
So, I mean, there you
Have you
go.
trying to explain that to your wife? She's like, why does social media think that we're not together anymore? Do you have something you want to tell me?
So it shows you SpongeBob's bigger than life there in that
Yeah.
stereotype. So there we go there. And speaking of the gossip, let's keep it going. Tom Brady, I've covered the end of your football career, and I can't believe how much I have been covering your dating life right now as well. So it has come out, and there are pictures online, which you could see on our page. You're going to retweet those pictures or repost
Mhm.
them or re-X them, right? That Tom
Rethread
Brady,
them.
rethread that. Tom Brady there's a chance that he might be taken, and it's not with Kim Kardashian.
Okay.
There have been pictures released of Tom Brady hanging out with Arena Shack. Tom Brady and Arena Shack are allegedly dating. Who is Arena Shack, you ask? She's a Russian model, and
There you go.
she is 37 years old. She dated Cristiano Ronaldo. So there you go there. And Bradley Cooper. And I believe, let me just confirm. Yes, she is Bradley Cooper's baby mama. They have a daughter together. And
Ah,
there are pictures of them hanging out. So Tom Brady, let's first say, Ryan, you agree that it is better for Tom Brady to date Arena Shack than Kim Kardashian, correct?
um, I don't know much about Arena, so I don't want to malign anyone without knowing. But I would say I have limited knowledge of Arena, and I don't have limited knowledge of Kim Kardashian's dating history. And since I know a lot about Kim Kardashian, that means it's mostly negative information. So I'm going to say yes, but in fairness, I don't know. This, Arena could be twice as bad. I mean, it sounds like Arena has got a bit of a dating history herself. I don't know. The whole thing. I think we're not putting enough stock into the fact that this is Tom Brady. This doesn't really matter. I mean, what is he? 47? How old is Tom
Tom
Brady?
Brady's 45 years old.
45? Like he's not settling down. Let's just be honest. He's not settling down. All of it's for fun. You know, we should just be happy that he's happy if we like Tom Brady, or if we don't like Tom Brady, then we shouldn't be worried about it at all. But no, I think that what you're saying, that Kim Kardashian comes with a lot of stuff, is true. Being a Kardashian comes with a level of drama on purpose. I mean, they did that. You know what I mean? That's their brand. Their brand is drama, and being with Kardashian means you're part of that drama.
Yes, and I'm sure Kim Kardashian is such a wonderful person if I met her. It'd be great to have her have a productive conversation with her. But for Tom Brady, almost everybody went backwards in their career and personal life. And, I just think Tom Brady, you have other options, and it seems that it is coming out that he might really like this girl, Arena, and I really hope we're saying her name right. But according to this, they met at a billionaire an art collector named Joe Namath and model Madison Hertig's wedding. They met in May. One sources says a number of models were hitting on Tom, and Arena was one of them. Although her rep denies it. This is reported by TMZ. The sources say that Gisele Bundchen is not happy at all about the news that Tom is dating Arena. And
Gisele's a model too. They might
yeah,
have.
exactly. So see Tom Brady as a
Think there's
type.
any
And
overlap?
yeah,
Do you think they knew each other?
I would think so. I would guess,
How old is she? I mean, how old is Gisele?
How old is Gisele? Confirm that in one moment.
She's
The
probably
age of
early.
Gisele Bundchen is 43. So
Okay. I mean, so 37, 43, that's not that different. They could be contemporaries in a couple of places. I mean, they might know each other. And I'm
I
going to
wonder
say
who
if
the other
that's the
models are
case,
competing with him, competing
well, I'm going to
to
say
for
if that's
Tom's
the
love.
case, then I think that we should be a little bit more skeptical here of Tom. This could be just him trying to get back at his wife, and I don't think that's fair to anyone involved.
I feel that Kim K story would
I
have been
think
a
that
great way
if
to do that.
no, I'm being serious. I think that if this is just because she knows his ex and he wants to make her jealous, then I think Kim Kardashian was the better choice for now. That is
That would be
mean.
some
That's a mean
revenge.
thing to do. It's a very mean thing to do. And I've said for the Kim Kardashian, in defense of Kim and Tom, Tom Brady can't go backwards. He's retired. He can't lose anything in his personal life. His family left him. So outside of her stealing his money, which frankly she doesn't need to do, she's got more than he does. What can
Yeah.
Tom Brady can't actually lose anything by dating anybody. He's got no career to ruin. He's got no family anymore.
And
So
he's taken this now he's under contract with Fox to become the head color commentator for their games
sure, but
starting next year. But so he's taking the year off. Personally, I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like they're going to annul that contract, and I don't think it's fair to my guy Greg Hardy. He does great, and it's not fair. He would be a lame duck for have Tom Brady replacing him, and it just seems that
they will
Tom Brady does
find
see the
something
time.
for Tom Brady.
Yeah, I don't think Tom Brady is.
They'll
I don't
find
see him
something.
doing TV, and he doesn't have to. He could just live off his millions and date supermodels for the rest of his life.
You could he'll do something, right? Because people want more money. But
Mhm.
I could see it. I
Got
mean,
the
he's got
TB12 brand,
his team, yeah. And I don't know, maybe a radio show, like a sports show in Boston, just
and
fly
also
in,
his
do it every
production
once in a
company,
while.
just keep on making shows. Do what
Yeah,
Peyton's doing with
yeah. I
Omaha
think,
Productions.
yeah. I don't know. We'll see, but I don't. I mean, and if he does TV, I don't know if anyone has to lose their job. I think they could just slot Tom Brady into a nonsense segment on like Thursday Night Football where he talks about quarterbacks or whatever.
And that's if he
Like I
doesn't
don't know.
do this. You're saying if he doesn't do this deal with Fox, where he's there
Oh
every
yeah, yeah. I
Sunday
mean,
for the game of the
obviously,
week.
yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah. If he does what he's signed to do, then he'll have to be on the panel, and that will require reshuffling the panel. But I'm saying
Well,
if
yeah,
it falls
yeah, he'll
through,
be him and Kevin Burkhardt as the team to
yeah,
do it.
yeah. So
Like they'll call the
right,
Super Bowl
yeah,
together. But yeah,
right.
we'll
So
see
obviously, if he
we'll see what
agrees to
happens
do
there.
that, but
But for
yeah,
now, he
I
could just
don't think
hang
he'll
out
end
with
up doing it. I
supermodels
agree
for
with
the
you.
next year.
I know.
And
So tough for Tom. So tough for Tom.
hey, listen, Tom, you do you. Simple as that. You got to be really
You have
excited.
Matt's approval as long as it's not
Hmm.
Kim K.
As long as he's not dating Kim Kardashian. I mean, you could have one night, but do what you want with
I
that
think they
one night.
probably did that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's be real, people. I saw a picture of them at that party. It was literally their backs. They could be talking to anybody, but we like to make something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have 4 minutes left with this segment. You still excited for Aaron Rodgers? We'll just go quick.
I am. I am excited for Aaron Rodgers. The pictures of Aaron Rodgers are silly. It looks weird that I don't know why it
The
looks weird, but
official
it looks
ones.
weird. Yeah, the official ones. It looks like he like wore his dad's uniform to wear.
Yeah,
I don't know why they didn't get a helmet that fits Aaron Rodgers for the picture, but I think, like I said, I've already said that this season will be a big season ticket sales wise, regardless. because of everything going on. But I do think that this first game against Buffalo is
Mhm.
going to pretty much set the tone for the season. Uh,
9/11th anniversary right there.
yeah, a win against Buffalo, who are let's be honest, their chief. If the Jets are as good as people think they're going to be, obviously no games have been played. Buffalo is their chief rival. I think we can state that pretty
Hmm.
obviously.
Yeah, next to the
Um,
Patriots, them it's gonna be, they're the biggest
well,
threat for them to win the
I
division
think
is
I
the
think the
Bills.
Bills are probably even a bigger threat than the Patriots,
Oh yeah, yeah, for
personally.
sure. This season specifically, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is the team you have to
it's
beat to win the division.
right, and
And
they
you're
get them first.
Yeah, right. They
So
definitely did
like
that on purpose.
yeah, so basically this is like you know put up or shut up time. Beat the Bills game one and show everybody in the NFL that you're making a real run for this. Aaron Rodgers is here to win. You lose to the Bills game one, and all of this is a sideshow cartoon meant to sell tickets and let Aaron Rodgers be in a bigger media market so he can continue to, spew his interesting alternative theories on basically everything on Pat McAfee and Joe Rogan's podcast, respectively.
That's what I
So I
just
think,
love about this, and especially our dynamic here, right? We talked about Aaron Rodgers for so many years, and now he is the quarterback of your team.
yeah, I have no
Poetic
problem.
justice.
I have no problem admitting that I hope we win a championship this year, and I still think he's wrong about the COVID vaccine. I'm a mature enough person to say both of those things are true. Okay, I can be like, this person should not be giving medical advice. However, I would very much appreciate if they won me a Super Bowl. I think that there's nothing wrong with admitting that out loud. We need to do that more. Separate the art from the artist. Okay, guys?
I think a
Come on.
lot of Jet fans are doing that. I think a lot of Jet fans will say, "Take the drugs." I actually support it. They'll say I legalize ayahuasca, which I'm sure I don't know.
if
Is it?
ayahuasca wins us a Super Bowl, then fine. Whatever.
That's the
Do
motto.
what you got
It's
to
gonna be.
do.
I can't wait to see what he does. I'm actually. We got tickets. We could visit my brother Britt in Florida for Jets and Dolphins on December 17th for this
Oh,
year. It's gonna be a big game.
that'll be a good game too, right? Yeah.
So we went to Jets Dolphins January, first week of January of this year. So all the way now
Okay.
to the very last week, the very last month of the year. So nice full circle there. But this Aaron Rodgers was far from a thought, and Zach
Yeah,
Wilson didn't even
exactly.
play that game. Um,
Of course not.
and Dolphins wound up
The
winning.
the Scrappy Doo of New York sports, Zach Wilson.
Oh, see, that's going to be a study with himself this year, and we'll see. They started their camp early.
XFL quarterback. XFL future XFL quarterback, Zach Wilson. Honestly, I think he'd do great in the XFL. He should go.
Seriously, me too. I'm just
Yeah.
excited we won't hear his mom all season long either. Talk about
Well,
his
we
mom's
might.
trying to get famous, but it's gonna be an exciting time, and we'll obviously get more into that when we get closer to it. So our last story for today, Ryan, and this will essentially be part one of this conversation. Barbenheimer, it did
Mm-hmm.
exactly what we expected to this weekend. It cleared house. First, first things first about Barbenheimer. What a win for movie theaters, Ryan. I don't think we
Absolutely.
have to worry about movie theaters going away ever again. Like seriously, after the pandemic, people literally thought the movie theater was dead. Obviously, we had Top Gun Maverick last summer prove that that wasn't just a fluke. This weekend, Barbenheimer did even bigger than expected. Barbenheimer scored $162 million over the weekend, and then Oppenheimer opened
Mm-hmm.
at 82 million, far exceeding their goals and
Yep.
expectations. And wow,
Oh
wow,
yeah, they
wow.
both almost cleared it, like $20 million over their expectations each, at least minimum. Depending on the estimates that you look at, they both did so much more business than people thought they would do. And there was even like that brief blip when they were looking at the ticket sales for Oppenheimer, particularly
Mhm.
because those were lagging behind Barbie a little bit in terms of the pre-orders. And people were like, "Uh oh, this whole Barbenheimer thing is blown out of proportion." I think there was a world where Barbie met all these expectations, and Oppenheimer did not. But no, the meme proved itself to be very much real. It's unfortunate I was unable to do both in the same day.
Me neither.
I've got tickets already for this week. I will be seeing Oppenheimer on Wednesday, Barbie on Thursday. My wife and I, not just me.
Mhm.
So I'll see them both in the same week, 7 a.m. back to back days. So
AM?
it's sort of it's PM.
Oh, I
It's
was about
PM,
to
7
say
p.m.
that now
No,
that's an early riser.
yeah, no, 7 p.m. So that's two date nights, but we're splurging to make sure we get to see both those movies.
Excellent. And I'm planning to also see Barbenheimer both both nights too. So probably both nights this week. So Oppenheimer is scheduled for Wednesday for me, Wednesday at 11 a.m. And then Barbie, I'm gonna see that on 11 a.m. on Friday.
Ooh, okay.
So we're gonna accomplish those, and we will give our thoughts next week on those. Or and just a quick Barbenheimer review itself of
Of
the actual
course.
films. Now the thing here is, okay, first we mentioned here, movie theaters, they're fine. Don't
Yes.
have to worry about them. And even in the strike the writers and actors are in, still able to properly
Hmm.
market the films. So, like, isn't it cool, Ryan, that these are two non-IPA IP? Now I get it. Barbie's an IP,
Yeah.
but these are two movies that aren't related to a franchise. They're not superhero movies.
Hmm.
They are original, established filmmakers. One's also an established filmmaker who's a woman, and women filmmakers have had their journey to be taken seriously as filmmakers. But now with people like Greta Gerwig and Catherine Bigelow and stuff like that, it shows that you could you could hit you could have a woman director have a movie have $100 million in a single weekend, and this hit 162. So that's a great historic win there. Then we have we have Oppenheimer, a historical, a history piece,
Hmm.
a period piece that's 3 hours long, with again another established filmmaker with using practical effects, minimal CGI, none. I don't believe any CGI used at all, and those are the films that people came to see, audience came to see, and this just has to show these damn executives that you don't have to do a sequel here, a adapt a comic book adaptation there. You can have solid storytelling by great, well-crafted filmmakers, and people will come and see it. Do you think these executives will get that through their head, or are we gonna
So
get
I actually,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like we're getting next week? Another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
yeah. So I was gonna say I can speak to DC. Obviously, DC. If you look at those maps that are floating all over the place, DC was one of the areas. DC, Maryland, Virginia, one of the areas that was heavy Oppenheimer and ticket sales, but more so than Barbie. And that's, I think, in no small part to DC, all of DC having billboards and electronic signs promoting that movie for 3 weeks straight. Every day on my train, I was basically, every time I got to a train station, J. Robert Oppenheimer was staring at me. Um,
Mm.
but today, Oppenheimer was gone. Just no, he was gone, and instead it was The Haunted Mansion, which is a
Oh
remake
yes.
by Disney, a reboot, remake, whatever. So no, to answer your question, this is not going to be a watershed moment for executives. However, I don't know if we can just blame the executives on this one. I mean, yes, obviously they're the ones who greenlight these projects, but I'd like to think that it's tough because, I mean, look at these two movies. Obviously, we talked about how they're not a superhero movie, which is phenomenal. But Barbie is, established brand. Mattel's got tons of money. Barbie is not a proven movie star, but Barbie is a proven draw. $1 billion draw. Barbie is worth $1 billion
Yeah.
as a toy, and so
And
more
this
than a billion
movie, just
dollars.
also
Yeah,
a point, this isn't a kids movie. It's
PG
aimed
13.
towards
Yeah,
yeah, it's aimed
yeah.
towards adults. and it seems from what I'm reading, it has a lot of meta humor. It's very pro-feminist movie, and
I don't think it's not for kids. I think it's older
yeah,
girls probably get a lot of this movie in particular. Also older guys. I've heard that your teen probably won't dislike this movie. I'm sure that it would be reasonable to take them to this movie
for sure.
if you were so inclined, but not like your little
Try to
kids.
make it relative, and I have to
Yeah.
see the movie myself to see what she's going for.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
going off of what I'm reading
Based on what we
online.
heard. 100%. But like I was saying, I just think that Barbie has proven herself as a draw in other arenas. Oppenheimer, obviously, again, not a movie star, not an IP, but it's based on a real story. So there is some reality that they can draw on. Be like, okay, the atomic bomb, World War II, J. Robert Oppenheimer. These are all established names. People know these names somewhat. Maybe not Oppenheimer specifically, but certainly the Manhattan Project, right? Like the names that might be lost to history for a lot of people, but the Manhattan Project is not. I think most people know what the Manhattan Project was. And so a movie about the guy who did the Manhattan Project would already have a built-in kind of, interest. I don't know if you could just, you're a filmmaker, pitch something totally different. I think that basically we're taking this as a win, me and you specifically as a win, because it's not Marvel
Yeah, that's
or
fair.
Star
That's
Wars.
fair.
And because it's not Marvel or Star Wars, it is a win. But this feels very Top Gun Maverick to me. I'm sure both of these movies, and I want everyone to hear me say this, sure, both of these movies are better movies, not subjective, just factually better movies than Top Gun Maverick. I saw Top Gun Maverick, it was fine. And I get a lot of
Yeah,
people wanted to
taking a
say it.
year away from that hype.
Yeah.
Now it's a great movie,
Yeah.
but you could even say it was a bit overrated a year later.
I believe it's
I
a bit
think so.
overrated.
It is.
Yeah. But that's not that they didn't make it for us, man.
Mhm.
So we're the soy boys who like Barbie.
Oh well.
Anyway, exactly. But I do think that like even that had some existing um source material and some existing fans to play off of. I would be very skeptical of a brand new idea being big outside of like an indie circuit. Like what's this Asteroid City?
It's a
Um
Wes Anderson movie.
yeah, that one's getting some hype, but certainly nothing like this. It's not like a
Now,
major movie
yeah, like
event.
Wes
It's like
Anderson.
it's in yeah,
I love Wes Anderson. Like huge for cinephiles. He's
right.
an established director, but you might even still call him like one of the most prominent indie films. Like his films don't usually get
Exactly.
wide releases. They're a lot of word of mouth, a
Yeah.
lot of streaming that way, but he's a legend and he has a distinct
Right.
style.
And I
But
just
I see
don't
what you're getting
see
at.
anything like that. I mean, another one that just popped into my head. Taika Waititi did obviously Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a major movie
Yeah.
franchise, Marvel. But before that, he did the Jojo Rabbit thing,
Right. Another
which
that is a
was
great movie, but it's also an indie film. I saw it at an
super
indie theater.
small. Yeah, it's like so. I just don't know. I mean, and we've seen people who could do both. I bet you, if I had to guess, Greta Gerwig can do both.
Well, yeah, that's
Christopher
that's where
Nolan
I
can
originally
do
knew
both.
her from, and some people feel that she's coming from an indie background.
Hmm.
Frances Ha's one of my favorite movies. It looked like something that you and me could filmed.
Hmm.
She wrote that, but yeah, she comes from the indie scene, and people are calling her a sellout. So you go from Frances Ha and Lady Bird and adapting Little Women, but now you go from Barbie. Now she's going to do the Chronicles of Narnia reboot.
Well,
Now that's
Little Women
people
is
who,
also a bigger franchise,
oh
right?
yeah, for sure. But
Yeah, but
that's a very artistic
niche.
art house
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
And now she's
I
going into mainstream, and I don't have a
yeah.
problem with it. Let her do what she wants. That's what filmmakers should do. They
Oh,
should
absolutely,
evolve. But
absolutely.
those are just the people who also said Margot Robbie is mid and or
Well,
have
yeah,
no
no,
life.
yeah. There's been no shortage of bad takes about all of these movies. But I would say that I would
Mhm.
be shocked if. Well, okay. I mean, Christopher Nolan's a good example. The movie that immediately preceded this one was an original. There wasn't any
Yeah,
source
Tenet.
material, and it didn't do that well. Like, and it
And
was
also the
marketed.
pandemic. Yeah,
Yeah,
also
but
the
it was
pandemic year.
marketed as
But
it was
yes.
marketed as a major movie. Like not an art house movie. You know what I mean? It was an
Oh
action
yeah,
movie with the suspense and all that, and it didn't do that well. I don't just mean, and again, I don't just mean ticket sales, because no one did that well during the pandemic with ticket sales, but it
yeah,
also wasn't received that well. Like we could
right.
just
It's
be,
it's as one of his weaker
yeah,
reviewed
people
films.
people saw it and were like, when they don't usually
Also, a
do
very
that.
confusing movie.
Yeah, so I think that we still have a bit of a ways to go before we get to that point, and I really wish we could
Hmm.
get to that point. And I don't know who could do it. Like I don't know that I don't know why it can't be done. So I'm not smart
Right.
enough to do it.
It
If I thought I could do it, I'd have tried already. Just to come up with something totally original that can be a blockbuster movie. Like Barbie's a blockbuster, but not totally original. Oppenheimer's a blockbuster, not totally original. Again, in different ways. I just, when's the last time that anyone did like a major blockbuster that was original, like that wasn't Marvel, wasn't Star Wars or James Bond,
that
like
that was had a major studio release.
yeah,
I don't know, The Hangover, but then they turned that into a franchise.
right. At least that was its own franchise, self-contained. But
Yeah, I'd have to really now. When you say these things, like I could point out to like anything A24 does or anything that goes through the film circuits. Now those are more smaller, cinephiles. If it's good, you'll have any audience appreciate that. But yeah, on a true mainstream,
right.
it's hard to think. And
I mean, Mario was not like, I'm just trying to think of the movies that like made a real
it's like if
splash
somebody made Back to the Future now, like
the first
that
time,
came out
right?
of nowhere.
Right.
But
Like
no, it's obviously
what
we
was it,
don't live
like
in that world right now.
Interstellar? That was pretty big, right? Do people watch that? People watch
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Inception. People watched Inception.
I even was saying Interstellar even before that, but
Yeah,
I- looking
those
back, it
happen to be
seemed more
Nolan,
people.
but
Yeah, it seemed back that. Yeah, let's go with Interstellar. I think that's what I would say. Most
okay, yeah,
recent, but now it's gotten more of a cult follow. It's weird to say cult following for Nolan, but
yeah.
um, let's say a lot of thinking on this
Oh, you
one.
know what?
Clearly,
Maybe Inception,
we'll
because I
go with
mean, I
Inception.
remember everyone wanted to see Inception.
Yeah, let's go with
Everyone
that.
wanted to see Inception.
I feel with Interstellar, people wanted to see that for Nolan, but they could.
Yeah,
But Inception was a large release coming
right.
out of
And they
nowhere
wanted to
with
go
Leo.
to, yeah, and they wanted to go to the theater to see that movie. Like
That came out in
Inception,
2010.
like I can't remember a time that I felt like there was a major movie that was completely original, that wasn't based on anything, that people wanted to see. And I don't know that we can just blame executives, because I feel like we'd see it being made, right? Like we watched Tenet get made, and obviously circumstances are part of that, but it didn't get reviewed that well. So I don't know if we can throw all of this on studios being like, oh, they only care about, sequel after sequel after sequel. I mean, not that many of these talented folks are even trying. A lot of them are
Hmm.
sticking with it like an indie kind of art house vibe, and they're going for smaller releases, regional releases, and then looking to build their name and like at the basically looking to build their name during award season, right? They release it to a small audience. It's award bait, so they know that they'll get mentioned up on stage, and then they'll see people take a little bit of an interest in their film if they hadn't seen it already. There's very few like you said, Back to the Future, where
You know, you,
someone's
you
like,
know what's
I
actually
haven't.
another good example, Ryan, is Frozen. That's probably
Yeah,
the
well, kids movies
better.
do it more.
Yeah.
Like kids movies are far more likely to just be like, all right, we're gonna do this thing with the princess or that thing with the, you know what I mean? Like Disney's obviously not afraid to create a brand new, Coco, like all of those Disney movies get massive,
Canto.
yeah. And Kanto, yeah, they get massive packages releasing, Moana. So yeah, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about for us. I'm talking about for
Okay.
like
Yeah.
us, not kids. And
Okay. So
like,
yeah, and we'll
yeah,
say Inception.
which we were kids when that came out.
Yeah, like in high
Like that's
school.
crazy. It's
Hmm.
crazy to think that it's been that long since someone had an original idea that was pushed to the moon and got people excited. Like all three of those things happening at the same time. We've had one or two of those things happen at the same time. An idea that was, original and pushed to the moon. We've seen that and it hasn't worked. We've seen an idea that was pushed to the moon. People got excited throughout every Marvel movie, essentially. Like we've seen we've seen a combination of the three, but we've never seen all three. An original idea that was marketed like a major release that everybody wanted to see.
Yeah. And
And
if anything, maybe it makes that possibility possible again. And again, only time will tell, and we'll see, how the rest of the film year goes,
yeah,
and especially when these
anything on the
strikes hopefully
horizon?
end. Well, we have Martin Scorsese's Killer of the Flower Moon, but I mean, that'll definitely appeal to again more cinephiles. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
that
could
doesn't
do a
feel
whole
like it.
mainstream, but I don't know. Period piece set in the 1910s. You have Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro. Again, this is stuff that we think cool, but I understand maybe a high school kid might not care.
Yeah,
Apple
no, no,
movies.
that's just difficult. It's not even just high school kids. You have to think of like, and I don't know. I mean, I don't write movies, but I just feel like if you're writing a movie, you have to think about the fact that someone's possibly going to spend like their monthly going out money on taking their girlfriend or their wife or their kids to see this movie. And there's obviously a place for the cinephile art house movie. I mean, people like it. People are willing to pay more money for that to see those movies. But like, I just wish there was someone who was like, I just want the person who's going to see one movie this month to see my movie.
Mhm.
Like, I want that person to want to come see my movie. And I don't, and we have people who are targeting that person, but they're targeting that person with Mario or
Yeah, right.
Marvel, or, you know what I mean? Like, so we are giving those people movies to see, but it's, a studio basically saying, all right, let's give them the video game character, give them the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, I want someone to be like, I have an idea that I think everybody would like. And they might be totally wrong, but I want someone to write that movie, and I just don't know that anyone has. And I'll just real quick before we run out of time, I would argue that for a while this Oppenheimer movie
Mhm.
didn't even meet the criteria we just said about, you know, original, um, marketed like a major movie, and everyone was excited to see it. I don't believe the marketing was behind Oppenheimer at all. I think Barbie
Yeah,
gave Oppenheimer a marketing push that the studio then decided to jump onto. I think Oppenheimer
right.
was meant to be from the get go what's it called? A period piece designed to get them some awards. I think that is exactly what Oppenheimer was meant to be, and I think that the
As a
fact that it
summer
was
blockbuster
recent,
too. But
yeah, because
it wasn't
Barbie
supposed to
pushed
be
it there.
what it is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Barbie pushed it there with the marketing. And so that's the only reason why it even fits into those three categories. Barbie's the only one that was truly going to be pushed to the moon, was a relatively original idea, and people genuinely wanted to see it. Oppenheimer was like a weird kind of accident because people were like, oh my God, they're coming out the same day. And it's just so absurd that the marketing took care of itself and like forced Oppenheimer into this position that I don't think it would have been in otherwise. Genuinely, I don't.
And as we mentioned, the whole Warner Brothers Nolan beef. Nolan
Yeah,
releases this
but
with Universal, and Warner Brothers does Barbie, and they've again only helped each other out. But
exactly.
also just to finish your thought with this is the big film, this is the big studio films coming out the rest of the year. For
Okay.
August, we have Gran Turismo, based on the video game, the
Mm-hmm.
free video game you get if you get a PlayStation 2,
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have The Nun 2 coming
Okay.
out for
Sequel.
September. Equalizer 3, um,
Trio.
Expendables 4.
Jeez.
Um, then October again, we have Colors of Flower Moon, which will be big in
Mm-hmm.
the cinephiles. Uh, Dune 2, but that
Sequel.
might be pushed back because of the writer's strike I just read. We actually have another Hunger Games coming out, I guess. If you
Okay.
care about Napoleon Dynamite, Bonaparte with Joaquin Phoenix.
Well, that's
Uh,
very giving Oppenheimer there.
And we also have another Aquaman in coming out Christmas time. Willy Wonka, I think, should be a big hit. The Wonka origin story, Timothy Chalamet.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's there. But again, we all just mentioned pretty much, films with already established names to it. No like real originals.
Yeah, I mean, Gran Turismo, I don't think has ever had a movie, but so it's a little bit different. But also, it's just Fast and Furious, isn't it?
Yeah.
but
Just
it
more
is.
formal.
I guess, yeah. Willy Wonka's already had two movies. I know they're different movies than the one that we're going to get, but there's still two movies and a book. Yeah, the only one that sounded original at all was that Flower Moon guy that you just
Yeah,
tossed
Kill the
out there,
Flowers Moon, and that's based off a
Scorsese.
book. So if
Yeah,
you want
which
to
I
read the
mean,
book,
in
that's
fairness,
fine.
yeah, that's different.
Adaptations
That's
are
fine,
fine. And you have Leo,
especially if it's
so
not like a major book. Yeah, it's
Leo,
not like
Scorsese, De
Twilight or
Niro. That's
50
all you
Shades.
need. And just the last
Oh yeah,
points
you'll get
here.
people for that.
Two last questions. One with Barb, and both one
Yeah.
has to do with Barbie, one with Oppenheimer, and then we'll figure out when to record those reactions right
Yeah.
away, especially the Oppenheimer part, and I'll explain why. But with Barbie first,
Mm-hmm.
and this is before you see it, and I'll probably ask the same question. No, I
After.
won't. I will ask these two very. I'll ask these two questions after anyway. So this is our
Yeah.
reactions before and after. First, Barbie. Do you think Barbie could be an Oscar film the way they're saying? Like Ryan Gosling's Best Supporting Actor. Maybe we see a Best Original Song. Production design definitely has to be out there.
Oh yeah.
But when I see Barbie, this meta film, do I see an Oscar winner? I don't know. And I'm trying to take
Oh,
the recency bias as well. But first, see for somebody who hasn't seen it, you think Barbie will win the most prestigious awards? It
will
could have
win
the
or
potential.
could win?
Could win, I should say.
Could win. Yeah, I think. I mean, I've said this from the beginning. The feet are pointed, like the hands pointed. Like they do a lot of really interesting stuff in that Barbie movie that indicates, even in the trailer, that this is a real movie meant for like real audiences. Like it's meant to play wide. It's meant to be something that anyone can pick up and get something out of, including the cinephile. And so I do think that it could potentially win some awards. I There are other movies that could also, Oppenheimer, of course, being one of them, but not the only one. So I don't know if I wouldn't be comfortable saying Barbie will win an award right now. I've never seen the movie, and B, there are other movies competing, right? But I think that it's very intentionally designed that for to be attractive to people who look at movies with a critical eye, as well as people who don't. And so I think that there's definitely potential. I just don't know how great that potential is compared to other movies.
Listen, I do it too, whether joking or not joking. I will say after seeing the end, let's first thing when I see a movie, I think, how do they fall into the Oscar categories? And I've said this joke like, you know, hey, Ron Gosling wins Best Supporting Actor playing Ken.
That'd be something
That
else.
yeah, I'd have to, especially compared to what Oppenheimer is, and this is gonna be my next question. The
Mm-hmm.
thing about Oppenheimer is people are really seem to be really profound by it. And people really I've read as far as a Hollywood Reporter, one of the most respected journalistic publications in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Oppenheimer is the most important and best movie of the 21st century. So from 2000 on, so 25, essentially just about 25 years, the first 20, well, the first 23 years of the 21st century, they say Oppenheimer is a bona fide classic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the potential in that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I obviously didn't read what you read, but I would bet that part of what they're saying is even less to do with just the acting and the effects and the movie itself, although I'm sure all
Mm-hmm.
that's good. But the folks who served in World War II, the last of them,
Yeah.
are pretty much gone. There's very few people from that generation still around, honestly. And those people, so the folks who served, when they served, were about 19 years old. So the folks who were even alive during that period of time are incredibly old.
Yeah.
Um, and more, even frankly, more to the point, when it happened in real life, when this very real event, and I think people have to really grasp that we really did this to
Right.
other people. Um, Obviously, we were given a version of what happened, and there's since been like a counter movement about like what really happened, and I don't necessarily believe either of those versions to be completely accurate. As with everything, I'm sure that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. No, I don't think it was a complete waste. Like they did it just because they could necessarily, but also I don't know if I believe that it was completely necessary. You know what I mean? And I wasn't
And
there.
I think
I can't possibly know.
that's what's going into, once you see this movie, you'll
Right.
probably, you will, the way it's presented, you'll probably, that could be a theme. And that's one thing I heard is the moral views of doing this. And
And
I
I
asked
think
you the
so.
question that was said in CBS this morning, that I guess the question that gave Nolan the idea: what happens when you, God, I can't even forget the quote. It's a, what happens when you show humanity? Sorry, what happens? You have, all right, here it is. 3, 2, 1. Would you save humanity by showing how you destroy it? Which is a very deep
Which
question, and that's a question
right,
I
and that
guess will
was
be
the
answered in
theory.
3 hours.
Right. And that was the theory of behind the entire project. But I think hindsight, we have grown up in a society, not us specifically, but America has grown up in the shadow of nuclear powers since this moment that we're watching in time. The hiding under your desks, the alarms, the Cold War, what's going on in our current lives now. More recent history with North Korea and Iran and other places.
Mm-hmm.
We've lived in this post-atomic era under this cloud, and it's easy to think about nuclear weapons as the enemy because it's always portrayed as the enemy, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we're scared of nuclear war, we're scared of being nuked. We're the only people who have ever dropped one, ever. And this movie puts that in front of people, and I think that will I just thinking about it makes me, like profoundly impacts me. And I think this movie will do that for people who haven't thought about it that way. Like, we're scared of this thing. We're the only ones who have ever used it.
and
And so
that
what
was
does it
close to
look
80
like?
years ago now.
Yeah. And what is it? Yeah, exactly. So as this generation, the last generation who remembers us doing this, who lived through this moment, goes away forever, a new generation gets to look at this and say, here it is. This thing we've been scared of our entire lives. We've grown up again under the shadow of this, mushroom cloud. This is its origin, and it's an entirely American origin. It is us. We are this thing. We it is I've become death, or whatever the Oppenheimer quote is, like,
Mm-hmm.
uh that's us. We are that. And I think this movie, if this movie grapples with that in earnest, I think that it will make people very scared and very nervous and very uncomfortable, because the morality of it isn't known. It's almost unknowable. I mean, you can calculate it any which way you want to come up to an answer, but no matter what answer you come up with, you're going to feel a little gross. You are.
Yeah,
No matter what answer you come up to with, should we have done it? Yes, no, somewhere in the middle, you're ultimately going to feel a little gross because the other answer is just as compelling because of how the scope of what this is. And so I
right.
think that this movie could have that effect on people. And if it does have that effect on people, it would probably fall under the category of one of the most important movies of this current, generation.
Excuse me. And doing that in a mainstream film, that's rare nowadays to
Yeah.
do, to challenge society like that.
And we
I'm
can
really
thank Barbie
excited
for
to see it.
that.
Oh man, it is good to have that relief for Barbie to be there. And yeah, so let's agree, once we see it, we won't give our thoughts through text or anything until
Yeah.
we do it on camera. And we'll, at least the Oppenheimer as soon as possible and the Barbie as soon as possible. But especially
Mhm.
the Oppenheimer one. Oppenheimer, I've been having a hard time. I've done as much research as I can without hitting an actual spoiler.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to really discuss that first, and then I can't wait to deep dive more into it. But and I guess the one thing, but what Oppenheimer, I'm glad to know now, watching the film is both black and white and in color.
Hmm.
And then Nolan himself said, "Listen, the black and white are objective." So he's saying
Yes.
this is
This
how it was
happened.
portrayed
Hmm.
in the history books, and the color is subjective. What does that mean? I don't know.
We're gonna find out.
Um, we'll find out. So I guess if it's playing the ploys, and also I'm thinking that maybe play with the character development and
Hmm.
understanding the historical characters beforehand is just going to help me understanding more, because Christopher Nolan movies, despite being one of the best to ever do it, it really does take a few viewings to actually understand what some of his films
Oh
are
yeah.
talking about. Except like Batman, that's pretty straightforward. But everything
Yeah.
else, I needed a few viewings to see. And knowing this now, that helps. Like, understanding Robert Downey Jr. is essentially the antagonist.
Mhm.
Um, he was Oppenheimer's rival. Matt Damon, as you
Yeah.
mentioned, he was the guy who essentially assigned him the job.
Mhm.
Um, and understanding how the other characters fall, I think is just really cool, and I can't wait to discuss it some more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's the case, I think we're good for now. And I thank you, Ryan. And we'll have a lot more to talk about a little later.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matt.
All right. See you.